Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Handyman Graham, and today we are making a custom-made desk using a thrifted IKEA table. In today's video, Alexandra has tasked me with making a custom-made drop-down desk for Tavis's apartment, which measures about 100 square feet. No offense to Tavis, but it is absolutely tiny. So every single square inch in his apartment is so important to maximize. For the base of this desk, I'm gonna be using an IKEA Norberg drop leaf table. And you guys have seen this table so many times before on Alexandra's channel. It's a really great budget-friendly drop leaf table that is wall mounted, so it saves a lot of floor space. First things first, let's get some ideas down on paper. Alexandra wants this table tucked in between the front door and this radiator. So that gives us about 28 inches total of space. We're gonna make this table around 29 inches to 30 inches off the ground. So it's gonna be super comfortable with just standard dining chairs. Every single square inch in this space needs to matter. So I'm gonna try to jam pack as much extra stuff in this table as possible. Closed storage, maybe like an extra shelf with a dowel to like keep things from falling off. The table will be able to flip up and down easily, and maybe even include a light source. So now that I have a rough idea of what I'm gonna do for this, it's time to source some materials. I'm just looking at Tavis's mood board right here. Let's maximize this beast. Okay, we got some wood tones here, some more wood tones, some more wood tones, some more wood tones. We got leather. It's very like heritage. Things look a little aged. Here are the chairs that we're gonna be using. So there's some chrome, there's some black. They fold up out of the way. We'll try to make this table and storage unit thingy look well-made, quality materials. I have some scrap wood that I think will be perfect for this actually. Hopefully I don't have to buy anything new for this besides the IKEA table, so I can use the hardware from that. So this one has the metal hardware, which I want. I'm gonna wait to hear back from a seller, and hopefully I can just jump in the car and get going today. Okay guys, I just got in the car and I'm off to pick up the IKEA drop leaf table. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Toronto. It's still kind of cold. It's like 3 degrees. Hopefully it's warmer wherever you guys are at, but I'm just going to head on up there, pick up the table, and enjoy the driving content. Okay, I just found some stuff on the sidewalk. Oh boy, okay, so we got the table. It was in incredibly rough shape. I managed to haggle the price down to 40 bucks from 50 bucks. The screws are all different. There's like a grease stain underneath. The veneer is peeling up, there's scratches everywhere. Facebook Marketplace is always meant to be negotiated. I've seen like IKEA stuff in better condition on the sidewalk for free, like after a rainfall, than this piece. So unfortunately I needed the hardware for this table. I paid 40 bucks for it, it's not that big a deal. IKEA is literally around the corner from here too, kind of kicking myself. Anyways, happy I picked it up. Gonna make my way back to the workshop right now, and I'll show you guys what we're working with. Okay guys, we are back in the workshop. Now I can really take a good look at what we're dealing with here. These little IKEA desks are just great. Like, they just kind of mount on the wall, they hang down, there's like a little metal bracket, and this is what I really, really wanted this IKEA table for, is this metal bracket, because it's super, super strong. Then we have this desk tabletop that folds down, folds up, and it's just really easy to fold it up when you need a little dining space, fold it down when you need a little bit more floor space. Like I said, I'm not gonna be using the IKEA surfaces because I'm gonna make my own custom little wood tabletop for this. So really all I needed were these two pieces. This kind of mounts like this, this swivels. The angle of this DIY is how you can take a basic IKEA drop leaf tabletop and make it super customizable. So for the materials I'm gonna use, I have some old drop leaf tables that I've salvaged the wood from. So I've got this beautiful solid wood piece. I've got this one here, super old wood, but I'm gonna use these for the tabletop. The first thing I'm doing is just trimming down these two pieces of wood, using my table saw and making sure they're the same width. I'm making them a little bit larger than what I need because I'm gonna be clamping them together and I'm worried that the clamps might damage the sides of the wood, so I'll be able to trim off that wood later on. Next, I'm making some perfect 90-degree cuts on the wood using my table saw and a table saw sled. I'm cutting some biscuit grooves using my trusty biscuit joiner so I can join these two pieces together and they won't shift around when the glue's drying. I'm applying a liberal amount of wood glue here and clamping everything together until the wood glue dries. Ay, ay, ay. Now the wood glue is dry, I'm using a belt sander to remove the old finish from the wood, but I think my belt is a little old, so it's not really doing a great job. So I'm just going in with a scraper and just scraping off the finish. I'm sanding the top and the bottom of the tabletop from 60 grit sandpaper on a random orbital sander, and I'm going all the way up to 220 grit sandpaper so that this tabletop is nice and smooth. To make this tabletop more comfortable to sit at, I'm rounding the top edge with my router and a roundover bit. Just for aesthetic purposes, I'm chamfering the bottom edge using a chamfer bit on my router. Okay, tabletop is all finished. It looks so good. It has like a really nice profile to it. Looks really good. I'm gonna put this aside and get going on the wall-mounted base. I'm gonna cut 2 large pieces, glue these together, and I'm gonna cut the remainder of the wood up into 6-inch wide boards using the table saw, and then bring all those 6-inch boards down to the same thickness using the thickness planer here. And those 6-inch boards are gonna make this little cubby system thingy, so I'm thinking maybe you can charge a phone, keep some pens in there. I'm gonna make this like wall-mounted table bracket a little bit bigger. I think it'd look kind of cool if I put like a little light on it too. So I haven't got there yet. First things first is I'm gonna cut these boards down to size. Ow! Ow! Oh, why is it so tight? This f***ing motorcycle. This goddamn motorcycle. This old tabletop that I found on the sidewalk is made from solid wood, but it does have a veneer on it, so I'm just sending these through my thickness planer to remove the veneer and get all the pieces down to the same thickness. Oh my god. Holy shit, that was such a pain in the ass. I wanted to glue 2 boards together. I cut the big board in half so I could plane the 2 halves down to the same size, get rid of the veneer, and I had now 7 strips of wood because it all busted apart. And because it busted apart, then I had to cut new edges on it, but with the table saw, which, like I said before, is great for 1 or 2 cuts, but now I have 6 pieces or 7 pieces, and it's less than ideal to glue together. Not really all that stoked about the progress so far. I mean, I just spent an hour and a half planing all those down, cutting it and all that sort of stuff. Seems like a really big waste of time because I'm not even happy with the way the wood looks, but just gonna keep going. I've cleaned up all the little pieces of wood and I'm adding some biscuits to all the pieces so that I can glue them all back together. Because this wall-mounted base is supporting the tabletop, I'm just making sure that everything is glued back together using some biscuits so it's extra strong. Okay guys, it's time for my favorite thing to do on a Friday late afternoon, and that's a stressful glue up. So I'm just gonna apply the wood glue, clamp these all together. Just gotta keep going. I love how little time you have to work on this before the glue dries. I don't even think I really needed the biscuits, to be honest. This is not gonna be weight bearing necessarily because the IKEA metal bracket is gonna be doing most of the heavy lifting, but we want this to be nice and solid on the wall. We don't want Tavis to be like eating his cereal and the table comes crashing down and he spills his cereal everywhere. Milk gets on his nice new carpet, stinks up the carpet. Wow, that was great. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 clamps. For the rest of the day, I'm probably gonna plane the rest of the material down, and then I'm gonna hit up Valley Village and see if they have any lamps or glass balls or something or electrical that I can use to maybe put a light here. If not, then I'll probably just order something on Amazon, like a battery-powered sconce or something. I just think that like this little table needs a little lighting situation. It'd be really cool to incorporate that in this table somehow. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, good morning. It is Wednesday. I just unclamped this backboard. And I'm just very happy with it. We're gonna have that little cubby thing right here along the bottom. And I mentioned on Friday that I was thinking about like a light situation. So I'm gonna get to that after, but I have a couple options in my head and I think I'm just gonna go for it and like put a light on here, but I'm really excited to tackle that after I do everything else because I gotta make everything else first so I can see if we actually do have enough room for a light. And I have another fun add-on that I think I might do as well, but again, not sure if I have time yet. I'm just gonna get the table to a point where I can finish it if I need to, or I can keep going and add little surprises into it as well. Again, just like the tabletop, I'm getting rid of the old glue using my belt sander and a scraper. The wall-mounted table base didn't dry perfectly flat. I want this to sit against the wall nice and flat, so I'm just putting this on the CNC machine with a surfacing bit, and I'm just making sure everything is nice and flat. You'll notice with like the thicker piece of wood you glue together, the more flat it will be. When you're gluing all these little tiny little pieces together, it's more opportunity for the pieces to cup, and that's just what happened here. You're probably wondering why I was routering out an extra little channel on the backside. Well, when I insert this scrap piece of super thick steel that I found on the sidewalk, I'm gonna glue that in place back there on the backside. I got Tavis a bunch of these really nice little brass magnets from Amazon. So now Tavis will have like a seemingly invisible magnet board so he can put little notes and stuff on the back. And I did it now rather than later just because I already had the router out or the CNC machine ready to go and I was gonna clean up and I was like, I'm just gonna make even more of a mess. So I just decided to do it all at the same time. I think there's probably 1.5 millimeters of material. You can hear it. Very thin. So I'm gonna glue this piece of steel in place to give the wood some structure because I have to go back in now with my orbital sander and sand everything down, which is gonna decrease the amount of material. I only have about 1 millimeter of material there. I'm gluing this metal plate into this cavity using some contact cement. This is a very permanent bond. I'm just worried about like the thickness of the wood is not gonna be very durable over time. So I'm just making sure that the metal plate and the wood are sandwiched together the best they can. There's still a bit of a cavity after I glue the steel into the back of the wall mount, so I'm just gluing some 1/8 inch MDF on the back using some contact cement. Just like the tabletop, I'm sanding the wall mount from 60 grit sandpaper on my random orbital sander all the way up to 220 grit sandpaper so that everything looks nice and smooth. Because I want this wall mount to mirror the tabletop, I'm going in with my router and a roundover bit and just rounding all the edges. So this backing board is sanded down to 220 grit sandpaper. It's about a 1/2 inch thick, maybe a bit more. Because I secured the steel plate and the MDF on there with contact cement, sanding it was a piece of cake. I was worried that I would go through the wood with the sander because it's so aggressive and the vibrations might crack the wood, but because I secured those plates in place, the wood is even thinner than it was before. So it's probably less than 1 millimeter thick. And now these magnets are actually very strong. I'm just seeing where the perimeter is. It is a very big steel plate. Like, that's actually a lot of space. Like, you can put like delivery notifications, even some sandpaper. So it's pretty strong. Wow, this is really cool. So I was gonna start on the little cabinet thing, but now I'm thinking like, let's just finish this backboard piece. So I'm gonna show you a couple different options I have to put a light on here as well. I hit up the thrift store, tried to find a light, couldn't find a light, but what I did find was this snow globe. And this snow globe costs $2.49. This snow globe is really busted. Everything is kind of falling apart there. What song is that? "'Tis the Season." It plays "'Tis the Season." Is that a song? Anyways, I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna see if I can separate the glass from the base without getting this nasty ass water everywhere. Okay, there's a lot of glue. Oh it's just all glue. Oh, it's leaking. Okay, I think I know what we need to do here. Oh, Jesus Christ. That glass was so thin. Whoops. Did not intend for the snow globe to break like that. Now I'm kind of kicking myself that I was so aggressive with that hammer. I had no idea snow globe glass was so thin. I'm gonna try one more thing. I do have this light bulb hanging out in the workshop that I think I can try to cut. I'm gonna try to cut this glass bulb so I can just remove the glass sphere. It's worth a shot. Ow. Okay, so that didn't work. That was a bit of a fail. I've now got snow globe glass and light bulb glass all over the ground. Okay, I totally forgot. I had this in a bin in the cupboard, and this was from a different project, but I totally forgot about this. But it is a glass sphere. It's exactly what I'm looking for. It's a little bit larger than I was hoping, but I think it'll look kind of cool. I think right there is perfect. All right, well, just gotta keep going. I've got this little screw-in lampshade. It's got some springed winged thingies. So I'm gonna see what I can do to attach this to the tabletop mount. I'm securing the IKEA lamp to the wall mount using a bolt and some nuts so that it doesn't fall down over time. I'm using my router to create a small channel for the electrical cord to fit inside of so that, again, everything fits nice and flush against the wall. I'm creating a small cavity with a drill and a Forstner bit so that the light switch can fit inside of it. Because the thickness of the light switch kind of surpasses the thickness of the wall mount, this is a bit of an oversight, I'm just creating a small little faceplate for the light switch so that the light switch can fit nice and flush against the wall without having to make a hole in the wall for this light switch to fit inside it. I'm just using some hot glue just to cover everything so that everything is nice and safe. I'm just finishing up the light by wiring everything together. All right, it's time to move on to making the cabinet. Okay, so I'm gonna cut all these boards down. I planed all these boards on Friday afternoon at the end of the day. They all kind of look different, but pretty much I'm just gonna kind of cook. You're just gonna have to let me cook for a little bit, and I'm gonna figure out what to do here, but it's pretty simple. It's just a top, a bottom, sides, pretty straightforward. So I'm gonna get going on that. Pretty much this cabinet is just composed of a top, a bottom, and 4 sides. I'm cutting up those little cabinet pieces that I planed into equal lengths using my table saw. Because the tabletop is actually connecting to the cabinet, which connects to the wall plates, I'm adding some dado grooves into the top and the bottom pieces using my table saw and my table saw sled. I'm creating these dado grooves by having my table saw blade set at a specific depth so that it doesn't cut through the entire piece of wood, it only cuts through about half of it. While the cabinet is still disassembled, I'm sanding all the pieces down, starting at 60 grit and going all the way up to 220 grit, just so everything is nice and consistent. Okay, I'll just show you guys where I'm at right now. It's looking pretty good. Like I said before, I just had to cook a little bit. But we got our 4 vertical pieces. We have our bottom and the top, and it kind of just all fits together. There's little grooves that everything fits into. I'm just assembling it all together. Okay, so we have our 4 vertical pieces, our 3 cubbies, the bottom and the top. Now I've put this piece of wood at the top, kind of just goes all the way around. It's looking very boxy right now, which I'm not really all that into. So I'm probably gonna round at least the top edges with a router. Because I want this little cabinet to match the wall mount, I'm tracing a roll of tape onto the corners, I'm cutting it off with a jigsaw, I'm rounding the top edge, and I'm chamfering the bottom edge. And then I'm just going in and sanding it all down one more time. It's a lot of sanding. Because I'm doing all the sanding now, rather than like having to go in there and like sand everything very precisely, I do it now multiple times so that I save time later on down the road. It's time for the Tambour doors. Tambour doors. Okay, so I've got like a little bit of a jig set up here. I've got all these vertical pieces, and pretty much for the Tambour doors is I'm just gonna make a groove that it's kind of like a garage door of sorts. So it's gonna go from a 1/2 inch from the edge, 1/2 inch from the top, just a groove that will go all the way up and then kind of curve so that you can lift it up and out of the way. So I've made like a little jig for my router so that it kind of like curves around this piece of wood so that I can have a nice arched channel in each of the vertical support pieces that are copy and pasted piece to piece. I'm kind of just creating this jig on the fly. I don't really have a plan here. I'm just using my brad nailer to like secure the pieces to my work surface, and I'm just kind of hoping for the best. I'm not too concerned with how perfect these channels need to look. I just need them to be nice and smooth, almost like a garage door, like the way the garage door kind of goes up. There's like little grooves so that it kind of goes up and over. I'm cutting up the pieces of wood that are going to compose the Tambour doors with my table saw, and I'm cutting them all into equal size strips. I'm cutting a little nub into the end of each piece, which is gonna fit in the groove. That's gonna allow the door to go up and down without it falling out of the groove. Because these Tambour door pieces are square, it's cutting this little nub into a square shape. So I'm going in with some sandpaper and I'm just rounding this little nub so that there's no like sharp edges that will bind in the track. Okay, I got all the Tambour pieces all cut, sanded. I got these little nubs carved on the table saw, and now I'm gonna glue them to a piece of fabric. I have never done this before. I've got this scrap piece of fabric that I had from the headboard DIY. It's just a thick 7.5 ounce duck cotton. It's durable. There is no stretch. I don't want these pieces to kind of shift or move apart. I need them to kind of stay very rigid, but fold. So I'm gonna glue them to this piece of fabric, then I'm gonna cut out the fabric after the way glue's dried, trim down the pieces one more time maybe if I have to. But yeah, we're getting there. We're really close. If you guys are making tambour doors at home, this is a really great tip for you guys, is use wood glue that is water soluble. So don't use the waterproof stuff here. Use the stuff that you can soak in water and the wood glue will dissolve, because then you can separate the cotton from the tambour door pieces and you can try again. I'm applying the glue to the fabric rather than to the pieces of wood so that I can control how much wood glue I'm using so that it doesn't squeeze up in between the pieces of wood. If I were to apply the wood glue to the individual pieces, chances of the squeeze out coming up through the pieces is pretty high, so use a little bit less wood glue here. Now that the tambour doors are done, I'm gluing the cabinet together by applying wood glue to all the surfaces, to the dado grooves, to the dados, so that I can clamp everything together and everything will be nice and strong. Because there's a lot of inside corners in this cabinet, it's the hardest to clean up wood glue from. My advice for you guys is go in with a damp rag and clean up that wood glue while it's still wet and don't wait until it's dried. Okay, gluing the cabinet together was a little bit tricky. I put one of the pieces on backwards accidentally, so I had to break it apart, put it all back together. Glue was drying, it was getting stressful. There was no crash out, but I was hammering the shit out of this thing. Just try to get all the pieces fit together. It's like 95% okay. One piece is a little bit off, but I was so janky with routing those channels for the tambour doors that I don't really think it's gonna make a difference. So I'm gonna throw one more clamp on before I leave, but very excited to come in tomorrow morning and see if everything fits. So, bye. Okay, it's time for the big reveal. I'm gonna take the clamps off the tambour doors. Glue's dry. Let's hope everything lined up. Didn't shift around when I was clamping. Okay, first one. Oh, okay. I'm all smiles. Barely any squeeze out in between the pieces. I'm very happy. I'm ecstatic, actually. You know, there's some glue, and if I stain in between, that glue is gonna prevent the stain from kind of hitting it. I'm thinking maybe of just sealing it as is. I think it could be cool if we stain the rest of the unit and then just have the contrast doors. That could be a nice little meet me halfway situation. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut off the fabric, clean it up, and we'll just do a dry fit. Okay guys, it's the moment of truth. No frickin' way. Okay, it is choppy. It's binded already. I'm gonna move on to the other door. There we go. Holy shit, that is so sick. Okay, so just for the record, for the center door, I made the nubs intentionally a bit larger since it was my second go around. Oh my gosh. Just gotta figure out how to get this out. Oh my God. Okay. The middle door doesn't quite fit perfectly, so I'm just using my table saw just to trim it down a little bit. Let's try this again. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Literally, I could frickin' cry right now. I am just so happy. I'm gonna wax all the tracks and the nubs so that there is no stickiness to it, but my God, I could not be prouder of myself right now. I'm almost at the point where I can secure the cabinet to the wall mount. I'm just going in with one thick coat of gel stain. I'm letting it sit on the surface until it dries, and this is just gonna make the color of the wood a little bit more consistent. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the stain to dry on the table and on the cabinet and all that sort of stuff. It's just drying over here. And so I decided to hit up the thrift store one more time to see if I could find a snow globe. And look what I found. Found another snow globe. I don't even know. Is that Mary Magdalene and Jesus and a little baby? I don't know. Is the baby Jesus? Because that guy also looks like Jesus. Toby, do not include this in the video. Anyways, I think it's Jesus. It's a Jesus snow globe. Is this copyright-free music? This song is quite haunting. All right, so I'm gonna be gentle this time. I'm gonna see if I can do this. Again, I'm not gonna take a hammer to it. I swear all these are made in the same freaking factory. Oh my God. I'm delicately removing the snow globe base from the globe using a utility knife to chip away at the glue. So now that the snow globe is separated, I'm spray painting the inside of the globe using some white spray paint and taping off the outside and letting it sit upside down to dry. Before I go home for the day, I'm just sanding down the IKEA Norberg table hardware using my angle grinder and like a sanding disc. And this is because the chairs that Alexandra's gonna be using for this table have a lot of chrome in them. And the IKEA hardware is painted. So I'm just trying to create like a chromed metal effect, I guess, just to make it match a little bit more. I always have to challenge myself to spend as little as possible. So I found this amber shellac on the sidewalk. I'm gonna be using this to finish off Tavis's table, even though I know a lacquer or a polyurethane would have been a better choice. Okay, so now it's time to assemble everything together. The first thing I'm doing is screwing the cabinet to the wall mount. I'm using some clamps to hold the cabinet to the wall mount panel so that while I'm drilling some pilot holes and securing it with screws, it doesn't shift around. I'm not using wood glue here. I'm just going in with a whole bunch of screws to hold everything together because in the event that a tambour door breaks, I want Tavis to be able to disassemble it and access that door from the backside. I'm adding the IKEA Norberg L-shaped brackets to the bottom side of the cabinet. I did have to cut these down to half the size just because this tabletop is not as wide as the IKEA one. I'm drilling a hole in the bottom of the cabinet to insert a USB organizer. I'm drilling a pilot hole in the center of each door and screwing the knobs in place until hand tight. Finally, I'm attaching the tabletop to the cabinet using the IKEA Norberg hinges. Okay, so now that everything's assembled, it's time to install it in Tavis's apartment. So Alexandra's sitting on the couch. I've turned the couch around so she can't see what we're up to over here, but we're gonna install Tavis's table on the wall and it's gonna be a surprise for Alexandra. So you can't look behind you no matter what happens or what you hear, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Unless there's like a fire or a flood.
Okay, got it.
Okay, we're gonna get started by mounting the wall mount onto the wall. I've taken the table off, just gonna make it a little bit easier to get to the hardware. The first thing I gotta do is just determine how high this thing needs to be off the ground, because you need this to be as close to the ground as possible so that the table's not too high for the chairs. I'm just gonna measure this, just double check my measurements. It's 30 1/8. Okay, so I need this drop-down table to be as close to the ground as possible because this is gonna be the perfect height for dining and working at. If you're at home, measure your dining table or your office desk and you'll see that it's roughly around 29 to 31 inches off the ground. And this is the thing I've noticed with like drop-down tables online is that they always use stools. So they always mount these things as high up on the wall as possible to make it look nice on the wall. But then you're gonna be perched on these like bar stools. And so that's why I'm gonna be mounting this a little bit lower so that this 30-inch tabletop folds up and it will be 30 inch off the ground. I'm using 3 16-inch toggle bolts. As I'm putting it in, I'm kind of putting pressure on these tabs so that I know I don't go too far in and it opens up right when it goes into the cavity. You know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes it's just, there's like, Sometimes there's insulation and stuff behind the wall, and you end up poking it through the insulation, and then it gets jammed, and you can't actually open it up, and then you end up wasting a toggle bolt, and these cost $2 a piece. All right, now we're gonna secure everything. We're gonna use some washers.
Why?
Oh, it just makes it more secure. So I'm just putting them in loosely so I can get all of them lined up. Okay, getting there. Okay, we got the wall mount on the wall. And next we have the IKEA hardware, and this is why I bought the Norberg table in the first place, was for this custom wall mount. It's a big table, so we need it to be nice and secure on the wall. So we're gonna just put this on, put it all together, and then we should be all done. Nice. So I'm just gonna put it in a hole. This guy has got a spring on the bottom. That's it. Okay, I'm just gonna secure the table to the hinges. I've noticed in the past that with these tables, they kind of like slope downwards, but this one's actually not bad. Okay, let's see if it hits the floor. Nice. Okay, we got it all plugged in. Power works. If you want to see this incredible reveal to Alexandra, head on over to her channel. The rest of the makeover is incredible. It's full of firsts for us. There's a lot of cool, interesting stuff going on over there. So see you guys back in the workshop. Bye. Okay, so now it's part of the video where I talk about what I learned and what I could do differently. First off, I was having all sorts of trouble with the stain. If you have any pointers on how to use gel stain or just stain in general, can you please let me know in the comments down below? Because every time I use stain, it's like I'm using it for the first time and I have no idea what the results are gonna look like. I just found that in this project specifically, because I used 2 different drop leaf tables I found on the sidewalk, there's all these like contrasting wood tones. Besides that, I'm so happy with the way this table turned out. I think it's just awesome. I love the fact that I incorporated all these sidewalk finds into this piece. I think it's gonna add a lot of function for Tavis, whether he's eating, studying, working, whatever you do at a table, he's gonna be able to do it at this one table. Let me know what you guys think of the table in the comments down below. And also, please, don't forget, give me some tips on staining, because I definitely need some. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.